Welcome to MZBC, the podcast for November the 3rd, 2021. Pastor Russell here with Mr. Mike Reagan, our Reclaim Life Group leader, coming to you live from the Reclaim Lair.
There it is.
Our reminder here always to stay humble, work hard, and be kind.
And slow down.
Let me see. Stay hard, work hard. Stay humble, work hard.
Stay hard.
Should do that. Like tough. He meant tough. Like stay hard. Like stay humble.
Well, you said it. I was
work
just
hard and be kind. I think I did all those things this week. I mean, I haven't worked too hard yet, but you probably worked a little harder than me. But it's been a good week.
Been a good week.
Yeah.
I thought. I was thinking about it today. I was like, is it just a habit that you do, saying the date when we do this?
It is, and it's only. And I think I copy it from a podcast I listen to, and I don't even mean to.
Mm-hmm.
It's what he always starts with, like "Welcome to whatever the thing is for this day." It's like a timestamp, I guess. If we ever lose, and remember when it was.
Yeah, they'll use it against us eventually.
I don't have. I'm not a professional at this. So I don't have like a good intro, so I feel like that's just an easy way to do it.
I was just curious.
Welcome to the podcast for this day.
Like half the time, I don't even know what day it is.
That's why I say that, so I can remember what day it is. But what's going on with you, bro?
I am enjoying the cooler weather.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's here.
Absolutely. I love it. Yeah. I bet you turn the heater on at the house yet, or are you one of those people that likes to wait until it gets real, real cold?
Well, that's me, but I'm married, so I kind of lose control over the heat.
Well,
we have the Nest. We put one of the Nest thermostats in the house.
Yeah, that's what I got.
So you can actually set the heat and cool at the same time, so it'll stay within that whatever degree range you have. Yeah,
mm-hmm. We probably have the same one. That's exactly what I have.
Yeah, it's nice. It's real handy.
You control it from your phone.
Yeah, she does.
She does. You don't mess with it.
I don't.
That's me. I think what you just described, you being married to, is me. Because I am the one that always wants to turn on.
But let's just go on the record. We're not married. Let's go on the record and say that.
Well, I said what you just described as me, because I'm the one that always wants to turn the heater on, and I'm the one that had to have that thermostat, because when I'm laying in bed, I just want to be able to reach over and be like, it's hot, turn the fan on. It's, whatever.
She has all that stuff on the phone, the Alexa thing, the alarm.
Man, we're just a tech-savvy world now. You got to be able to do all that. I'm surprised with some of the older people at church that are able to maneuver through all that kind of stuff.
Lamar was showing me pictures, text pictures from his, I guess, grandson or somebody.
Yeah,
was building a fire. I was like, man, I'm just, and he's scrolling through it, and I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
I mean, because Lamar, he's late 70s, isn't he?
Oh yeah. For sure.
80,
I would say he's close to 80.
Yeah.
I would guess saying late 70s.
He still got some spunk in him.
He's on it, man. Dude is on it. I think that between him and some other people here at church, you can see how God preserves the life of people that love him and don't get a bunch of cigarettes in their body, don't get a bunch of alcohol in their body, don't do a bunch of late night partying. There's so many can't call them old people, but there's so many older people.
Elders.
I like to call them veterans. Experienced. That are just good, man. And I'm like, man, I always tell them, I hope that when I'm 80 or 70 or whatever you are, that I'm still kicking and doing what you're doing. And they're all serving too, so I'm sure that makes God happy and gives them a little longevity.
I know a lot of older people that are mechanics. Mm-hmm. When you talk about just a tough person. I mean, there was one guy, he's 65 or 70, and I mean, he's still out there slinging brake drums and stuff. It's like, but he's so conditioned to do it, so his body's used to it.
Mm-hmm.
And the main thing that I was taught when I first got into the mechanic world, especially the diesel world, because on the big trucks, everything's twice as heavy. He said, take care of your back and take care of your knees. So my back I've pretty much taken care of, but my knees are just I think they're just got a lot of miles on them.
Well, I think they say live with your legs, not with your back. So you're either going to get one of them's got to give out.
Yeah, and these were the older guys that I learned from, and they're about falling apart and stuff. I mean, it takes a toll on your hands. They said take care of your back and take care of your knees.
Before we started, me and Mike were talking about the longevity of being an athlete, how long you can play in different things. We said it doesn't matter what sport we were in, we would be ancient. We're out no matter what it is.
We're out.
In the soccer world, we tapped out like 10 years ago. We were too old for that. And golf we could still do, but that's just impossibly hard. So if you don't have that skill right away when you come out of your mother's womb, you can't learn it. I've proven that. I mean, you can't learn golf. I promise you, everybody in golf, in the PGA and all that, it's a natural talent they just have. I've come to that conclusion because I've spent way too much money on practice range balls and playing golf to not be better. So I've come to the conclusion that you're just born with that.
Is it?
I'm probably not. I think people that can afford a coach.
Is that just because you're mad because you're not as good as you should be?
I'm not mad. I'm just like, I'm frustrated. Some days
I did think about you today.
Did you?
Because my day, I actually thought I was going to have to come here straight from work.
Yeah.
But the Lord was showing me some favor today, and it actually got cut short.
Okay.
I'm like, man, I'm going to take advantage of this. So went home, changed, went to the river.
Nice.
And I'm there, and it's just that time of year where they're going to feed up. But see, the river water's a lot colder than lake water. It's always moving. It's just colder water, even during the summer. I'm like, I know they're in here. I got a lot of bites. I just caught one fish. But the river, I mean, it was almost, for South River, you could call it almost just crystal clear.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, it was low and it was really clear. Well, I saw 2 spotted bass. There was probably about 2 pounds each. And I walked up on the bank and I looked down. Because a lot of times I'll walk the bank, and if I'm not waiting, if I'm not in the river, I'm walking the bank. Well, I'll just stop when I get there, and I'll just watch. I'll look. And there, sure enough, there's 2 spotted bass about like this. And I actually slid down the bank. I squatted down, and it was on my butt, and because it was all sand. And because I was in a little cut. So the bank's up here, and it's almost just like a slide. And he'd come cruising by, and I'd just sit there and watch him. He'd cruise by. And finally, I was able to get close enough to where I could throw my bait in there. And, of course, they looked at it. But it was like, no, we ain't hungry right now. I was like, you better be hungry. But I thought about you as like, because you could play, say you go to a certain golf course and you pretty much know the course because you've been there so long, and say hole number 4, you know you're going to get 3, was that a par? Was that a 3? But there's just some days it's like, it's not going to happen, Joe. You'll hit 5, 6 swings. I was like, this is it. This is that time. You're just sitting there. It's like he's looking at it. He's like, he don't want it.
That's true. There's some days I play golf, and if you
it's
watch
like,
me,
I know they're going to eat it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Not today.
There's some days if you watch me play, you'd be like, man, this guy is really good. Like, he knows how to play golf. And other days you're like, this must be the first day he picked up a golf club. He's just learning. So I think fishing's probably the same. Like, some days you go out there, throw the hook in the water, and boom. And then other days it's like, what am I doing wrong?
You couldn't buy.
Is it illegal to throw a cast net on top of a bass?
That's a good question.
Because I'm thinking you're looking right at him right there. I do know how to throw a cast net, like the little baiting ones and the big ones. Like, I learned how to do that back in my teenage years. That was a lot of fun.
I've thought about trying to cast net, mainly just for catching bait to go fish with. That's usually what they're for.
We used to catch mullet with them.
Yeah, I think everything in the world eats mullet in the saltwater. That's like the filet mignon to the
other
salt
fish
world. Yeah, that and shrimp.
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say. We used the net to catch shrimp, and then we would and then catch the mullet. Also would be. We were really trying to catch shrimp. The mullet would get in the way sometimes, but
I know a lot of people during the mullet run. I mean, they're all out there. It's kind of, I guess it would be equivalent to bass spawning time.
That's right. I'm speaking of mullet. They have what in Pensacola, where I grew up. They have what they call a mullet toss. right on the beach, and like it's what it says. It's a mullet
You
toss.
grab it and you
You
throw
put a
it.
fish in your hand, and you see who can throw it the furthest, and like it's a contest and all this stuff. But it's my point. It's at the Floribama, and the Floribama is a bar that's right on the line of Florida and Alabama, hence Floribama. I met a lady yesterday.
So can you start drinking in one side of the bar before the other side?
I don't know what the time is. I'm trying to think. Because at some point right on that line, the time does change somewhere.
Right. Reason I ask is because back in the moonshining days, this woman built her house. I think it was between like Virginia and Tennessee. And in one state it was legal to have a still, and the other side it wasn't. So she would be, I guess, had the steel on one side of her house. The law would come, and she would push it to the other side of the house.
I don't know what the drinking rules are for Alabama out there. When I lived there, I was not of drinking age, so I didn't pay attention to the laws. We were breaking them anyway, so I mean, it doesn't matter. That wasn't what I was trying to talk about. It being a bar. I was trying to say. I met this lady yesterday. I think I may have mentioned this weekend when I was preaching that I met a couple and they wanted to get married and they're moving to the area.
That was on Monday, wasn't it?
Yep. So
I was going to text you, see how that went.
So I met them. They're a really cool couple, Amy and Thomas. So if you guys are listening, what's up? But she works in Pensacola, and she said she goes to church at the Floribama. They have a church in there, and she said they have 2 services, 500 people both services, like 1,000 people.
Is it still a bar, or
Absolutely.
is it converted into a church?
Absolutely. Saturday night is rocking. Sunday morning, praising Jesus. I told her I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, Jesus said go hang out with the sinners.
If you're getting 1,000 people in there,
rock on. We need to turn this church into a bar on Saturday nights and then Sunday have church. But I thought that was really cool that she did that. But they were looking for a church home, so hopefully they'll end up here. They were a nice couple to hang out with.
You guys are natives.
We are. She works at a place that I'm familiar with in Pensacola. So we'll see how that works out. Hopefully, I think they'll be moving up here probably in the next couple of months for good, because that's a long travel from here. He lives here, she lives there.
About 6 hours, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good drive. So that's about it. Let me tell you a cool story that happened today. I know you said you had some stories to tell, but you got 2? All right, well, let me just get one out of the way. I just think it's a cool God moment that is interesting to me. Me and my brother have a friend.
Sit back or something.
Me and my brother have a friend that we play golf with all the time. He lives down in Peachtree City, and we have a round planned for Saturday. We made tee time on Saturday morning to go play up somewhere. I can't think of the name. It doesn't matter. So I called him today to see if he wanted to go play.
It's golf. It don't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's a golf course, and it's fun.
Where are you going fishing? To the water?
Yeah, it doesn't matter where.
I don't care where it's at.
So I called him to see if he wanted to go play with us, and when I answered the phone, I said, "Hey, what's up, man?" And he says, "I think I'm dying." And I'm like, "What?"
Every day, sir.
I said, "What do you mean you think you're dying?" He said, "Yeah, dude, I really think I'm dying. I'm throwing up blood." And I was like, "What? What is going on?" I said, "So no, really, what is going on?" So he told me he had thrown up a couple of times, and he thought there was blood in his throw up. And
are you guys the same age?
He's my brother's age, so about 4 years younger. Yeah, maybe. So I said, "You need to go to the emergency room." And he said, "Nah, and you don't know me. I don't go to the emergency room." I said, "Well, you're going to die. I mean, what do you want me to say?" And I thought it was interesting because just a couple of weeks ago I told you that we met the head of the ER down at Fayette Piedmont, and they wanted to do the COVID testing site here at church. And so I said, "Hey, you live in Peachtree City. God just let me happen to meet the head of the ER that's at the hospital right down the road from you. You want me to call them and see if they can get you in or whatever?" And so I did. And the doctor that I talked to said, "Just give me his cell phone number. I'll call him and see what's up." So I waited a couple hours and I texted him. I said, "Are you going to live?" And he said, "Actually, yeah. The doctor thinks it was just something that had to do with what I was drinking or what I was eating or something or whatever." He said, "So I'm going to be fine. But the guy that you introduced me to was really nice, and he was really awesome, and thank you for that connection." And I said, "Well, that was all God's, perfect timing, because this was the first time I've ever called this guy on the phone. Like, I've never, you know me, I'm not a phone caller. I mean, I'm a texter. Do you want to go play golf?"
Did that sign flash before your eyes?
Yeah, is this textable? And I was like,
I think my brother's dying. He's got blood coming out of his body.
I just thought that was so interesting. I never called that guy, ever. And then I called him this morning, and that was going on in his life. And for that brief moment, he really, I mean, it really was. It's not that he just felt it. It really was a God, like, he made me call him.
Ordained moment.
Yeah, and God made me call him, and God let me meet this guy that works in the ER. And I thought that was really cool. I was just like, every now and then God will give you those moments where you're like, okay, I see you.
To have a doctor in your back pocket, that's a good thing.
And after I did that, I hung up like, this is a pretty cool contact I got now.
Nice.
Like anytime I got anything going on, I'll be like, hey man, this is what I'm feeling. Mm-hmm. Can you write me a prescription? I don't know if that's legal or not. But I did think it was cool, and I thought it was really, I thought it was just cool how God did it. So when I texted him and said, so are you going to live? He said, actually, yeah, the doctor said it was this. And he said, the guy you introduced me to was really cool and really nice. And I had, he said, but he did say this, I'm never going back to a hospital again. You're going to have to drag my dead body there. I don't know what his deal is with hospitals, but.
Well, it'd be too late.
He's against them. But I said, after I told him, I said, dude, that was just like a God moment, because I never call you, and I called you and this was going on. And he said, I agree. Like, I definitely think it was a God moment. He said, I was on the phone with my wife when you called, and he said, I clicked back over and told her that you knew a doctor and you were about to call him. And he said, that blew us away. He said, I even told my father-in-law how it all happened. So, and this is a guy that doesn't do the Jesus thing so much. I mean, he knows God, but I don't think he is like
he's not sold out.
Yeah. And so it was just cool. God got that spinning in his mind, and there's no way you can not think about that. Mm-hmm. As he's sitting at home right now, feeling bad or starting to feel better, that's got to be in your mind. Like, wow, this happened today, and totally random, but not.
I don't know if you've ever
totally
paid
random.
attention to it. I just know because my medical advisor.
Oh, yeah, it helps to have a nurse at home.
When you get, say, drink or popsicle or anything like that at the hospital, it's any color but red. They will never give you red.
Because they don't want it to be confused for blood?
Yep.
Huh.
You'll never get red Gatorade. You'll never get red popsicles, red suckers, nothing like that.
Now that you said that, I'm mad because my red Gatorade is in my golf bag I meant to grab before we walked in here. I was a little thirsty, but it's out there.
All right.
I know. You used to bring me Red Bulls, and till I stole one time.
You ruined that. I just walked in the door, and he's like, oh, it's like, well, here.
You brought two. There's only one of you, and there's two of us. I just thought you were being nice that day. So, anyways, you said you had some stories. What's going on? What happened?
One, I'll tell the funny one first.
Okay.
The second one is awesome the way it worked out, but it has a funny twist in it. And then you were talking about your brother was throwing up. I don't know what it was. Now when I tell the story, it's not because of you. It's just the way it happened that day.
Okay.
I guess it's about 3 or 4 weeks ago. We were here, we did class, and then I came over to the service, and I was sitting up front. Well, Levi really doesn't listen that much. I had to go pick up something for Levi. We had ordered it, and I had to go pick it up. Well, while I'm sitting in service, it's like my eyes started getting blurry. I was like, sometimes you'll, I was like, I guess my eyes are just stressed. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go ahead and cut out so I can go get the thing and get it home and put up before Haley and Levi come home, because we drove separate that day. Well, anyway, I left, and it's like as soon as I walked outside, I felt fine. I was like, man, maybe it was the heat. I said, I don't know what it was. I said, I feel fine now. And I left here, and I went down to McDonough. And the closer I got to McDonough, the worse I started feeling. I was like, man, I feel terrible. I was like, I don't know what's going on. So I go in there, and I'm like, well, it's Academy. I'm walking around this store. And the more I walked around, the worse I felt. I felt like I was about to pass out. And it's like people are walking around, but it was like they were just running. I was like, my head's spinning. Anyway, I went up to the front. I was like, I'm going to go ahead and get that thing. So
might not have been communion wine you were drinking that day. It might have been real stuff.
Well, it could, because I didn't drink anything yet. It's not even 12 o'clock yet. Anyway, so I'm up there at the counter. You know, they got the glass counter up front. Well, I'm leaning, and I start sweating.
Wow.
And then I'm kind of just walking back and forth, and they had the air on, and I found a spot where the air was blowing right there and I was standing there, and I thought I was going to have to call Haley. I was like, you're going to have to come get me. But anyway, the guys come, hey, we got your thing. They loaded it up, and I'm going home, and it was at that point where it's like, you can't get home fast enough. It's like, I'm about to just vomit right here in the truck. And I was like, I'm looking around. I was like, I got an old potato chip bag here. Because you know when it's going to hit you is when you're in traffic.
Right.
Or at a red light. So I'm looking around. So, man, I got a potato chip bag right there. Anyway, by this time, I'm almost home. Haley calls. And I'm telling her what's going on. And get home. I lay in the bed. And long story short, I ended up throwing up. I don't know what happened. But then after that, you know, about 3 or 4 hours after that, I was fine. I have no idea what happened. And then the following week was fine. Then 2 weeks ago, it happened again.
Not at church this time.
No, this actually, I think it happened. No, it actually happened on a Saturday night before church. It happened on a Saturday night, and I was like, man, what's going on? And it was just those 2 times, and it was just so random and just I don't know where it came from, but just to add to your brother, you know, I'm going to die.
Hey, I know that feeling of about to pass out.
Because what was weird is because I'd have a headache first. And usually your mouth just starts watering a lot. But this time, I mean, my head was splitting in half. I was like, man, what's going on?
The day I gave blood and passed out, that's exactly how I felt. I was sweating. I was just like not feeling good. The next thing I knew, I was on the floor and 2 nurses were in front of me going like, sir, wake up. Are you okay? And I was like, did I pass out? And they were like, yeah.
Did they get the blood?
They did, yeah.
Did they give it back to you?
I had already given the blood. I was walking out to the elevator, and I got a water to drink, and I turned around, and then I never got a sip of that water.
It's wild, isn't it? It's just like that.
I told when I came back to the office the next day, I said I could have died. Like, that's how death has to be, because 1 second you're breathing, and the next second you don't even know what's going on.
You're out. You're gone.
If I wouldn't ever woke up then, and that was death, I would have never known anything happened. Like, I'd have just been in the presence of Jesus. Like, here I am. I don't know what happened, but here I am.
You're standing there like, Jesus, what happened? You died, sir. You're dead. But I brought you back.
I wonder if you just randomly die like that in real life and you get to heaven, can you ask, like, what happened? I don't remember anything. Or do you think you don't remember anything? Like, you're just all of a sudden...
They say you'll get a new body, a new mind.
Yeah. Like,
it's like you won't even remember
like
stuff down here.
This doesn't even exist anymore.
Like the Matrix.
That's insane. I always tell Heather, just joking around, that all this that we're looking up at's like the Truman Project, or the Truman Show. Remember that movie where Jim Carrey was in it, and it turned out that his whole life he was in on like a movie set. Like, one day he looks up and like he sees a hole in the screen of the sky. I tell Heather all the time, like, this is just a big screen. Like, it's not even real.
Anyway, to get to a funny story, last week it was actually Friday. It was Friday. Yeah, it was Friday. I'm riding around. I left the house and going to work, and I was like, man, I didn't get any fuel. So I got quarter tank of fuel in the service truck, and I'm riding around. I went and picked up some parts. I had 2 stops. I was going to East Point, and then I was headed to Jimmy Carter. Well, I get to East Point, and I'm looking around for the truck, and I was like, well, the truck's gone. So I called the guy. I was like, where's the truck? Oh, well, they had to leave. He said, well, just come on up here and see us, Jimmy Carter. It's all right. I was like, man, I got to get fuel. I'm getting hungry, so I'm not stopping in East Point. I'll make it up to Jimmy Carter. And so just rode up to Jimmy Carter, and there's a QT there. I was like, I can get fuel in the truck. I can get fuel in me. And then right over to the OFS is where I was headed. And I get to QT, I'm fueling up the truck, get fuel. And I go inside and get some drink, something to eat, and come out. And when I'm coming out, and the QT just got a single row of pumps. You know, usually they're back to back all the way down. This is just a single row. And I come out, and I got my service truck door open, and I'm putting stuff in it. And when I was walking back to the service truck, I saw an SUV leave. I didn't think nothing about it because he was on the other side of the pump. And he left. And I'm putting stuff in the service truck, and sure, he comes back up. He said, excuse me. And my first thought is like, what is it with you people and bothering me?
Frustrated right away.
I knew, because the way he said it, I knew exactly what he wanted. I was like, what is it with you people? and I put the stuff in there. Yeah, I was trying to remember if I had the service truck running. I hadn't started the truck yet. And all I heard was Miami. He said, Florida, Miami. I was like, you want directions to Miami? I said, head south. That's what I said. Just head south. You'll find it.
Is that what he was asking you?
What he said is, I'm trying to get to Miami. Florida, Miami.
Needed some gas money.
Yeah. And I was like, he said, can I get, like $30? I said, who carries cash?
Yeah.
I said, just pull up the pump right here. I'll turn it on. I'll get you some gas. Mm-hmm. He did. I said, Miami. I said, just head south. Get on 85 south and just go. So he pulls up, and, I turned the pump on, put my card in. I'm pumping him gas. Oh, thank you. I tried to get to Miami. I was like, how'd you get to Atlanta with no gas? And, I'm just giving him a hard time. And I'm putting gas in there. He goes, I got this ring. He's a nice dressed guy. He's in little, I don't know. It's a nice little SUV he's got. He said, I got this ring. It was like a big old gold line ring. And he's trying. I said, dude, I
give it to you?
Yeah. I said, I don't want that ring. I said, look at me. I said, look at me. Does it look like I wear jewelry? He said, here. He said, just 20. I said, no. You asked for 30. I'm going to give you $30. Mm-hmm. And it's going and going. And it hit 25. I said, no. You wanted 30. I'm going to give you 30. He said, take my ring. I said, dude, I don't want that ring.
I could see you coming here with a tiger ring or whatever.
I mean, a big old lion. It had a big lion head on it, big ring. So here, I said, dude, I don't want that ring. Anyway, he got gas, got the receipt. And I said, all right, well, have fun. And they left. He had a woman in the car. I'm assuming it was his wife. And I get in the truck and I leave. Go. Yesterday, I was back at OFS. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday I was back up there, and I'm working. Well, I get done and I will go to leave. And Jimmy Carter, they have one of those diamonds on the bridge for the traffic diamond, I guess is what they call it. Well, when you come out of OFS, if there's no traffic, you can just get right on Jimmy Carter and right on 85 South. You don't even have to stop, so there's no traffic. Well, I went to pull on the ramp, and there's a dude on the side of the ramp waving people down. And it was a Ford Expedition. And I was like, well, let me see what this guy wants. And there's not much shoulder. I mean, literally, you're on the white line, and you're hitting the trees with a service truck. He comes up, and he's waving, and I open the passenger door, and I can't hardly understand anything this guy's saying. And he goes, I think I heard engine oil or something, engine oil and whatnot. And he said one thing, and he did one thing. I was like, you're not going to get me this time.
No.
He said, I'm trying to get to Florida, and here's a ring, and it was a gold line head ring.
What?
I was like,
it the same guy?
No, it's a different guy. I was like, I looked at him. He said, Florida, and he goes, here's my ring, And I said, please shut my door.
Wow.
And he looked at me. He's like, what? I said, just shut my door. And in my mind, I'm like, you got me last week. You're not getting me today.
They have a whole little group of guys going around with lion rings trying to scam people.
Yeah, and he had a big old gold chain, nice dress, same deal. But if he hadn't said Florida and grabbed that ring,
they got to get different.
I would have helped him.
Yeah. Wow.
I said, you got me last week. You're not getting me this time.
I want to know what's going on with those people. Like, what in the world is happening? They're all trying to get to Florida and now giving away their lion rings.
I was like, you know what? Go pawn that ring and get some oil and go to Miami.
We get that a lot here. People come and say, I'm trying to get to name a place, and I don't have any gas.
How did you get here?
That's exactly always my question. I'm always like, well, how did you end up right here at Mount Zion Baptist Church? Then now my little $20 is going to help you get to wherever you're going.
Because let me tell you, $20 in gas, it might get you to Jonesboro.
Yeah, it's not going far. It's not going far. I don't have a hard time with that. I just have it's difficulty because Jesus, you're supposed to give and all these things, and he says.
But that's what makes it hard to decipher.
Yeah.
When and when not to.
That's exactly right. Because he says you give it, and what they do with it, don't worry about that.
Yeah, that's up to them.
But once you get a couple guys come up to you trying to get oil and gas and give you gold rings, you're like, the next person that comes to me, I'm a little more lenient, and I don't know about that.
But I have a God ordained story too to go along with your brothers and the doctor deal.
My brother's friend.
Oh, brother's friend.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was your brother.
My brother. I'd have went and helped him.
Would you?
Yeah, I mean, I'd go help my brother.
Did y'all play golf together?
Saturday.
Yeah. Is that why you would help him?
I gotta have somebody to play with. I mean, yeah. I need him to be healthy.
Anyway, and it involves Jimmy Carter again. It was actually this past Monday. I got in the service truck and I'm leaving, stop and get my drinks. And I was like, something's just telling me not to go to Jimmy Carter. Not necessarily something bad. It's just say, don't go. And thankfully, I have that option. I was like, man, I better listen. I better listen to that. And then Haley, she usually calls me when she drops Levi off. And I'm like, I'm not going to the OFS today. I said, something's telling me not to. She goes, okay, well, don't go. So, I'm just running around, running errands, getting parts, just getting stuff together. Well, I got a call from a guy over at Tyler Perry, which is in East Point. He said, hey, we're hooking up to our trailer and the brakes won't release. You think you can help us? I'm like, yeah, because I'm literally 15 minutes from you. It's not a big deal. And he sent me a video of it, and the parts guys there, we deciphered what valve it was, and they had it and run over there. I mean, like 2 hours, we had it taken care of. It worked out great. And I'm there, and I put the valve on. It come off. It didn't have to fight. I'm standing at the back of the service truck, and I'm swapping fittings from the old valve to the new one. Well, the driver comes up, and we have never met in our life. And he comes up, and he just starts talking, because I had Billy Graham playing on my phone. Because there was nobody there. I was like, well, I'm just going to play my music. And playing, he comes up, he listens to the word, and we get to talking. We'll come to find out, this guy has started his a ministry for kids. I didn't ask, and he didn't elaborate, what age range or anything. But then he says instead of talking to kids about the gospel, he uses what he called a picture board. Yeah. So I assume you know what that is. I don't have a clue what it is. And so he's talking about that, and then he says a guy wanted to help him, and a nonprofit, and he was talking about a business, but then his heart's toward the kids, but he says it seems like the business partner's more toward the money, and just things we got to talking about, and talked about at the end of the day, what's in his heart. I see, because it's a personal relationship, and we were just bouncing it all. He was just eating it up. And, I looked it up on my phone about, Paul Planet, Paulus Water, God gives the increase. It's 1st or 2nd Corinthians. And we read that. And I don't know how long he's been saved or nothing. But I was like, this is why I had the feeling not to go to OFS, to come here and talk with this guy, or we talk to each other. And we're standing there, and, work stops, and we're standing. I mean, we probably talked for 20 minutes. And you could tell he was getting fired up about it. And, and all of a sudden, we're looking at each other, and we look over here, because he's kind of looking at me, and so the sun was kind of shining in my face. And he said, "Oh, Lord." And he looked, and there about 15 feet, there was a rat. And we're in the middle of an asphalt parking lot. And, I mean, it was a rat. Yes, wow. I was like, well, look at that.
He was trying to get the word, too.
What y'all talking about? Well, anyway, this guy in the rat kind of jumped. He wasn't jumping, but he was walking, and he was coming toward us. And the guy's like, "Oh, Lord, I'm going to film this." He got his phone out, and he's filming it. And I'm just standing there, and it's like, man, that thing's like a pet. I mean, it looks like a little kitten. I mean, it was like, this was a rat, dude. He didn't look bad, like a New York sewer rat or anything. And he went that way, and then he went, I said, "You better get somewhere for when these red tails see you."
Yeah.
And, but that was great. And I actually had to go to OFS that day anyway. But now I know why I didn't have.
You got held up for a little bit.
For a couple of hours, and it was to meet that guy.
I love when God does those things. It's so cool. Just puts people in your path. And you, like you said, you have the luxury of doing that. If you don't want to go somewhere, you can say, "I'm not going there right now." And so you set your life up in such a way. So that's always, I guess, something you can strive for in your life. Not be dependent on money and people and stuff. So you can be free to do ministry like anywhere. Like, and just go and bounce in and out. That's awesome, though. But, man, if I was that guy and I was talking to you and I looked over and there was that big of a... I would have jumped up on your truck or something. Like, you would have saw a side of me that you would not respect anymore. You would say, I would have been on the tailgate of that truck and like, "Mike, you got to get this rat out of here." That's rodents. I don't do them. I don't do rodents. I don't know why. They're just creepy to me.
He was big. He was big. And Levi's like, "Was he this big?" I said, "No, if he was that big, he'd been a nutria rat."
Yeah, those things look like little, almost like a beaver almost. Those nutria rat.
Nutria rat, yeah.
Like in Louisiana, Mississippi, like where it's swampy and wet and.
Yeah, just a rodent. Now that's a rodent.
Yeah, now that's a rodent.
I don't even think hawks can eat them things.
What'd you say, red tail? Oh, you're talking about a hawk.
Yeah, there's red tail hawks.
Come down and scoop and grab it. Wow.
But that was just like a week.
That was just 1 week.
That's just 1 week.
Yeah.
It's great, man.
It's that whole point.
You should get out sometime and try it.
I know. Doing ministry, you don't get out too much around here too much.
See, what you need to do when you take a couple of days off is just ride with me.
Just ride around with you?
Don't wear the white shirt, though.
No, it'd be dirty.
Yeah. Just ride around, hang out. I mean, it gets interesting sometimes.
Yeah, I bet.
And sometimes you could hear a pin drop. Most of the time, there's some characters out there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you're with them. I mean, working on movie sets, I'm sure you're working with some characters for sure. It almost ties into what we wanted to talk about today, that ordained perfect time to have that conversation.
Yeah, any time is your time.
Goes right into what we're talking about with Jesus today. We finished up last week, said drink the blood and eat the flesh. It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, and then toward the end of 6, it's like, man, I'm out.
Yeah, all the disciples, people said, "No, that's too much."
Well, apparently it's all but the 12, because it says many of his disciples heard this, and they said, "This teaching is hard. Who can accept it?" So apparently he had a big group, because I mean, I don't think we've got there yet, or maybe I don't think we got in there in John 6, but he said he sent out 70.
Mm-hmm.
70. So. Mm-hmm. He had a group.
Yeah, I like the way Jesus approaches them here too, because when they say on hearing this, they said, "This is hard teaching. Who can accept it?" And Jesus is like, "Does this offend you? The Spirit does this and all this stuff." And then he gets down here and he says, "Do you want to leave too?"
Yeah, he looks at the 12 and said, "You don't want to leave too, do you?"
Like, you were going to run off too. And I think you said this was the answer they gave. And they said, "Lord, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life. We have come to believe and to know that you are the Holy One of God."
Yeah, that's 68 and 69.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jesus said, have I not chosen you, the 12? So he said, "Look, I chose y'all. If I didn't think y'all could handle this hard teaching, I would have chosen another 12. And so they hang around with him for a minute, even though he tells them, look, one of y'all are going to betray me. We all know who that one was. And then it says after that, I thought this was good. So right after that, Jesus tell them about the flesh and the blood and all this stuff and follow me. And they said, well, that's hard. And he said, all right, if you want to leave, now's the time to leave. And they said, no, we're going to stick around. So then it says from there they went to Galilee. There was a festival going on, Festival of Tabernacles. And his brothers wanted him to go. His brothers said, look, I don't know anybody that's trying to be a public figure. In verse number 4, no one who wants to become a public figure acts in secret. And since you are doing these things, show yourself to the world, for even his own brothers did not believe in him. And they were missing the point. Jesus was trying to tell them, therefore, he says in the next one, my time is not yet here. For you, any time will do. Mm-hmm. And the world can't hate you, but it hates me, because I testify that its works are evil. Like you said, you had that appointed time with that guy in that conversation. Jesus is telling them, look, I have an appointed time, an appointed place where my death is significant. My death is put into place by God, like for a purpose. And you can die any minute, and it's death. But I have a specific time that I'm supposed to die and all these things. And so they didn't fully understand that, but that's what he told them. And then it says they went ahead and went to the festival. His brothers go on. And then it says afterwards, in verse 11, however, after his brothers had left for the festival, he went also, not publicly, but in secret. And it says at the festival, these Jewish leaders were looking around for him and trying to say, where's this Jesus guy at? Mm-hmm. And there was whispers going around, and some people were saying he's a good man. It says other replied, no, he deceives the people. No one would say anything publicly about him because they were scared of the Jewish leaders. Yep. This is the part I thought was just funny with the way Jesus does things. So he goes from, no, I'm not going to the festival because I'm not trying to be known in public. I have an appointed time for everything. And then they leave, and then says he goes. And then not until halfway through the festival did Jesus go up to the temple courts and begin to teach. So he went from I'm not going to I'm going to go in secret.
I snuck in.
To now I'm standing in the middle of the temple court teaching. Yeah. He's a bold dude.
He could be like, well, if I'm going to be at the party, I'm going to be the center of the party. I'm not coming here and just hanging out at the bar.
That's true. That's true. And then it says the Jews were amazed at this teaching that he was doing in the courts. And it's, how did this man get such learning without having been taught? Basically, they're saying, how does he know so much? Mm-hmm. And he's never been taught the way we've been taught. He hasn't went through the schooling we've went through and all these things. And Jesus,
and they were really stuck on that because there was another point where they were debating with him. I mean, it might be in here too, in 7. It said, before Abraham, I was. Mm-hmm. And see, how can you claim to know Abraham and you're not even 50 years old yet? So they were really stuck on that and tradition, really. And what was so crazy is like, well, how did he get to know so much and we haven't taught him? Mm-hmm. It's like, because I taught you.
Yeah, that would have blown their mind.
You can't teach me anything because I taught you.
Yeah, if he would have said it that way, it would have blown their mind even more. It says in verse 16, Jesus answered them, said, my teaching is not my own, it comes from the one who sent me. Anyone who chooses to do the will of God will find out whether my teaching comes from God or whether I speak on my own. Whoever speaks on their own does so to gain personal glory. But he who seeks the glory of the one who sent him is a man of truth, and there's nothing false about him. And so he's telling them, look, the way I know all this is I got it from my daddy. You don't know who my daddy is.
My daddy is. You know who my daddy is? No.
No, we don't. We're trying to learn. And then there's just a bunch of division over who these people say Jesus is. So some people say you're demon possessed and who's trying to kill you and all these different things that Jesus has going on. And Jesus tells them, look, I did one miracle and you guys are all amazed. But because Moses gave you circumcision, he says, but actually it didn't come from Moses, but it came from the patriarchs. Just because he did that, you guys will circumcise a boy on the Sabbath. He says, now if a boy can be circumcised on the Sabbath so that the law of Moses may not be broken, why are you angry with me for healing a man's body on the Sabbath? Stop judging by mere appearance, but instead judge correctly. And I guess he's saying,
you healed somebody. How dare you?
Yeah, on don't do it on the Sabbath.
And see, they weren't concerned about the person that got healed.
Mm-mm.
They were concerned that Jesus worked.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But in their religion, they didn't hold God to that standard, because he's always keeping the world turning and keeping the sun going up and down and the breeze, and God's holding it all together. So they kind of just excluded him from working on the Sabbath.
That's right. And Jesus tells them to stop judging by mere appearance, but instead judge correctly. I mean, what is that? How do you read that? Judge correctly. How do you judge correctly? I think I have a thought, but what do you think it?
How's in 24 there? Stop judging according to outward appearances, rather judge according to the righteous judgment.
Is that what your translation says?
Yeah, in 24.
Okay, yeah. This one just says stop judging by mere appearance, but instead judge correctly. And yours says that correctly means what?
Stop judging according to outward appearances, what you see. Rather judge according to righteous judgment.
Righteous judgment. Okay.
So, again, they weren't looking at a person got healed from whatever ailment it was. I don't recall what you just said. But he said he healed his body on the Sabbath, right? Mm-hmm. Circumcision.
Yeah, it was the guy that came to him on the Sabbath and healed him.
You are angry at me because I made a man entirely well on the Sabbath. So apparently he was bad off. And it said, you're not concerned that the man got healed. Instead of praising God that God healed this guy, apparently he was pretty bad off, you're mad at me for working instead of healing the guy. Just like when they tried to trap him with the adulterous woman. You know, he's writing something in the dirt, and they say, this woman was caught in adultery. Moses, the law says, stone her. What do you say? Mm-hmm. He stood up. He was like, whoever's without sin, here's
cast
my
the
rock.
First stone,
yeah, throw the first one. And they actually did something truthful there. They all went away because they knew they were all sinful. They weren't worried that she broke the law. Mm-mm. They wanted him. They wanted to trap him and strong-arm him and try to make him break the law to give them a public display that he's a lawbreaker. Now we have a right to kill him. Mm-hmm. But it didn't work that way. Mm-hmm. So they weren't concerned about her breaking the law. The dude that did the deed with her, or a woman, I mean, it doesn't say who she slept with, weren't concerned about them. Weren't concerned about her. Like, when he was in the temple complex and people are throwing their change in the little horns so they can hear it, you know how loud it is. And the woman, the poorest of the story, says 2 copper coins. We just say 2 pennies because that's our copper coins. It was like she gave more than any of you people. Mm-hmm. But they weren't worried about that. They wanted the money.
Mm-mm. I like the imagery and the story you said with the adulterous woman when he says it was drawn in. I think it's interesting, too, that you never know what he was writing in that sand. I would really love to know what he was drawing.
Billy Graham thinks he was doing the 10 Commandments.
You think he was writing the 10 Commandments?
That's just what he thinks.
It's a lot of writing.
It's just 10 of them.
I mean, I'm just in the sand? I don't know. I need to listen to that sermon from Billy Graham and hear that one. I never heard that. But I think it's awesome that he says, you know, whoever hears without sin cast the first stone, and the scripture says that slowly, one by one.
The oldest left first.
They
down
start
to the
walking
youngest.
away. I can just see them there going like, I want to stop. Nah, I'm out. And then the next one like, yeah, you know, I'm out. And just one
I'll wait for somebody to move.
One by one, they just slowly start dropping off. And so Jesus is in this point right here, and he's continuing to try to make the point, like, nothing I do is on my own accord. Everything I'm doing has been instructed by my Father. There's a designated time when I'm supposed to come, do all these things, live, and then it's a designated time for my death. I'm not trying to get out there and be public and do all this stuff like you guys want me to do, because those people are trying to kill me. And I'm not trying to give them more reasons to kill me. But he was always pointing it back to, I'm doing what God told me to do. I'm here to. And so we all have this appointed time and appointed times and situations in our life that are going to happen. And I guess we're to do the same. Like, we're never to say, I'm doing this because this is what I think we should be doing, but everything we do is because of this is what we feel God is leading us to do. God is taking us in this direction and stuff like that. And I think as a church, that's what we are to, shoot for as husbands, as dads, as just friends to people. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Not leading people on our own power or what we think is right, but going by this word and always pushing them towards the cross.
Biblically. Because
exactly
if you
right.
have a profession, then they might seek out your advice or something.
Yeah.
Like mechanic or what do you do again?
Can you get me to Miami? I have a gold ring.
Miami. I have a lion head gold ring. Like, dude, you know what you can do with that ring?
Jesus told him after this, I am with you only for a short time, he said, and then I'm going to the one who sent me. You will look for me, but you won't be able to find me, and where I am, you cannot come. It says the Jews looked around and said to one another, where does this man intend to go that we can't find him? Will he go where our people live scattered among the Greeks and teach the Greeks? What did he mean when he said, you will look for me, but you will not find me, and where am I that you cannot come? On the last and the greatest day of the festival, Jesus stood and said in a loud voice, let anyone who is thirsty come to me and drink, and whoever believes in me, and as Scripture has said, rivers of living water will flow from within them. It says by this he meant the Spirit, whom those who believed in him were later to receive. And up to that time the Spirit had not been given, since Jesus had not yet been glorified. It says on hearing these words, some of the people said, surely this man is the prophet. And others said, he is the Messiah. And still others asked, how can the Messiah come from Galilee? Doesn't the Scripture say that the Messiah is going to be David's descendant and from Bethlehem and a town where David lived? And it says, thus the people were divided because of Jesus. Some wanted to seize him, but no one would lay a hand on him.
Yeah, he just slipped away.
Yep.
Now, I just realized something. Because you were reading that, it said the wall of spring, what was it? You
Whoever
just read
believes
it.
in me, said rivers of living water will flow from within them.
Yeah.
That's 38.
Yeah, 38, living waters. And then back here it says, I am the bread of life.
Uh-huh.
What was the other one? When he's talking to the woman at the well, a
Quench your
spring of living water. Everything he's going back to is life and living. Anything outside of him, he never said it was life.
Yeah. I mean,
I just realized that. A spring of living water. I am the bread of life. Living waters, spring of life. I've come so they can have life and have it to the full.
Have it more abundantly. Yeah.
Have more
it to the
abundantly.
Full,
yeah. Because it said, I just realized that.
He just keeps pointing us back to that.
So, hey, I come to give you life. Oh, you got to die. We don't want your life.
We don't want your life, because your life points at our life and says all the reasons why our life is wrong. The life that you're offering me.
But he was pulling it out of their scriptures that they studied from.
Yeah. They didn't see it that way. They did not see it that way. I mean, what does that say about us today?
He said if you study the scriptures because you think in them you can find salvation. If you knew him, you would know he was writing about me. He told them right there, you got it all wrong, guy.
They definitely didn't like that.
No.
Him telling them they got it all wrong.
Yeah, we're going to get rid of you.
Yeah, you're out of here.
Yeah.
And they thought they got rid of him.
They did. So did Satan.
Yeah. I mean, he keeps pointing them back to the place where they have to get comfortable with everything they need, like their whole life, their whole everything. It's him. Like he's the thing that can sustain life. Like it's him, the bread of life.
He is life. Because in Hebrews he said he is the author of life and the perfecter of our faith. He showed you can do it.
And I think that's hard for people to see that haven't experienced Jesus the way we have. So many other things make up life for them, whether it's prestige, whether it's reaching a certain level, material things, of course. But I think that's what makes it easier for us to be content. I was thinking about this today, that it probably comes across like lackadaisical, like we're kind of apathetic on chasing after stuff and like prestige and all this stuff as an outsider looking into a Christian's life. they're like, man, you could have so much more. Why don't you do this and why don't you do that? And you're like, I don't need all that. I don't
If he says go, they'll go.
Yeah, if Jesus tells me to go be that, then I'll do it. But if he tells me to just live in my, my meek little home and have my truck that's 17 years old or whatever, I'm fine with that. It's
ticking away.
Ticking away. I don't need all that. So it's easy to find contentment when you understand that what he's offering really is the only life you need. You don't need all that other stuff. Not all that stuff is fun sometimes, and
that's nice.
Yeah, makes you feel good sometimes. Or
so
whatever,
I got a brand new vehicle. When'd you get it? Well, today. I said, well, guess what? Tomorrow it's gonna be old.
Yeah, as soon as you drive off the lot, it's like half the value that it was when you bought it.
And I've thought about it just like you have. It's people. Well, I'm just gonna say a lot of people believe what they have makes who they are.
Absolutely.
That's why they got to have these overpriced. When I see vehicles, they're a vehicle. It's a machine. Now, some are a lot nicer than others.
Yeah. When you see nice vehicles, you probably just think, man, the parts to replace in that thing are way expensive.
Yeah, these people, they want the Cadillacs and the Range Rovers and stuff.
Until they got to put a new battery or a new alternator.
Yeah, Audis, they got to have these vehicles. It's like you have no idea the upkeep on that thing.
Yeah.
And that's why in 2 or 3 years they just fall apart because they won't upkeep them. Mm-hmm. And what part of town they live in, where they shop, whatnot like that. And the thing with people who think they're rich, living off credit. A lot of rich people don't have cash. Mm-hmm. It's all credit. Mm-hmm. Which is fine. I mean, that's how a lot of businesses run. But what I was getting at is people think the things that they have make who they are. Mm-hmm. It's like, no. I said, that's why you're miserable and unhappy.
And the thing about it is, I mean, we have things. You and I have every toy that we could possibly want. I have every toy I want. I got all the golf clubs, golf balls, video games. Jesus gives you all that stuff. I mean, I just don't need 10. I don't need 10 phones or, I don't need a big, nice car or whatever. He gives you everything you need, and he allows you to have nice things. And so,
yeah, and the way I see it is you're not happy.
Yeah.
You don't have joy, and you don't have the peace. Well, I have this, but that is not going to get you where you need to be.
That's exactly right. Because I fall victim to that sometimes, and not things, but doing, I think, activities sometimes. You're like, I'm going to go play golf tomorrow. It's going to be awesome, and it's going to make me, feel something. I get out there, and I get frustrated, or I get whatever, and then it's like, okay, that's not me. Playing golf is not what makes up me. It's Jesus, and that's just something he lets me do. I just got to, when I'm out there playing, I need to just not think about trying to be good at golf. I need to just be enjoying that he's letting me be out, that I'm healthy, I can swing a golf club, that I have
that you have a golf club to swing.
I actually have a golf club to swing and haven't lost all my golf balls yet. Yeah, stuff like that. And so huge contentment is just massive in the life of a Christian, just learning how to be content, not to the point of not trying to achieve and not trying to do things, but just being happy where I'm at, because God will allow you to experience a lot of blessings as you show contentment, practice contentment. It's cool. And God's letting us just see a bunch of cool things here at church. For weeks now, you and I have talked, and there have been a lot of frustrations that we talk about, but just in the last month or so, a lot of things that we've been preaching, teaching, talking, trying to get people to live out, God's let us kind of see. People coming out and serving at the trunk or treat in the community.
That thing turned out great.
It was amazing. I mean, you think...
Hey, Haley had she had a little anxiety. She goes, I hope at least 50 kids show up.
Oh, man, yeah.
And by the time it was done, I said, I believe your goal was succeeded.
Yeah, I told her. I said, you crushed it. It was awesome.
And I don't know about the other games. I know you had to golf because you were right there, and Ben had to poop and chicken.
That was disturbing.
It's like, put the ball under there and pull his tongue, and he'll poop some candy. It's like, that must be a big hit down south. Usually we stay away from the end of the chicken.
Yeah. I mean, when he pulled up,
but it was interesting. I mean, he made
chickens,
2 of them.
Big. I said, did you see that somewhere? And you wanted to do? No, it just came to me. I'm like, oh my goodness, how does that enter your mind to make a paper mache chicken? You pull a string, and it lays candy instead of an egg. That's disturbing.
I mean, they have
Kids thought it was cool.
candy things, little chickens and donkeys and stuff. You pull his head and it'll stick a piece.
Oh, you're talking about the
not the Pez, but there's other candy things like that.
Never like what I saw Benjamin do.
That was a big one though.
Yeah, but I asked Benjamin to be here tonight too, and he was too busy. That would have been fun to hear what he had to say
make
about
some more farm animals.
Yeah, but you're right though. Seeing the community come out for the trunk or treat.
And they were still showing up when we were cleaning up.
If we would have stayed until midnight and continued to have candy, people would have kept coming. It was good.
Haley bought those sticks, the skewer sticks for the s'mores. There was 110 sticks in there. I gave every one of them away.
Yeah,
every single one of
them. The sticks ended up being the wood for your fire at one point.
I was recycling.
I think you see y'all.
I kept that out of the landfill.
People give me a hard time about golf, but those little kids were loving that little putting green I brought out there. I mean, I'm trying to recruit some golfers.
I got several comments on the s'mores. That's different. I'm like, it's fire. Why wouldn't it be different? It's awesome.
It was cool, but the point that God is allowing us to see some of the fruit of our labor. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Like, we're trying to be obedient and trying to live for Him, and even on those hard days where it's like you seem like you want to give up, or not even give up. I think that's kind of harsh to say. I never wanted to give up, but it's just harder.
Throw in the towel that day.
Yeah, just for that day. You know what? Today I'm tapped out. I'll start over again tomorrow. That has happened, but God is letting us see some of the fruit of our labor. And I was just talking to someone today as we plan for 2022 and start talking finances and budgets and all that fun stuff that I just love talking about. We had to talk about it today, and it was like, well, we made it through the COVID year. Like, that's gone now. We've made it through almost a whole year of post-COVID, and so here we are. Now we get to start planning, and hopefully whatever the new normal is moving forward, and we'll just keep growing as a church body and growing as a leader and stuff like that. So I'm excited about what's happening around here, and just in my own personal life. In my own personal life, I'm super content. Like, where God has me right now, life is just
we were talking about, Halloween, just the business, C&A. It's like, in 15 years. We hit 15 years November 1st.
Oh, yeah, you told me that.
It was 15 years.
It's amazing.
And I have a different outlook on success. I mean, it's taken, a lot of walking and a lot of reading and studying. But we don't have, like, a huge bank account like people would think. I said, but look what He's allowed us to do and to do. Haley's been through school. Levi's in a great school. I'm in school. Just about everything's paid for. So it's great.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
And to add to the story, what I thought about, because you were talking about the church, I was talking to that guy. His name's Nate. When the rat come up, was checking us out. I said, it's great that you're going out wherever he goes to do his picture boards. I said, it's awesome. I said, because I said, church is sissified now. And he's like, he's laughing at stuff. I'm like, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
I said, your heart's for kids. Mm-hmm. I said, you're telling me that. I said, Haley's heart's for kids. I know that. I said, but me? I said, no, I've got one kid, and that's all the heart I have for a kid. I said, but to me is talking to people like you. I said, we can gather up all these people in the construction shop, and that's a rough bunch of dudes. I said, I'll sit here and talk to them all day long about this. That didn't bother me, so that's that's my focus. I said, he's like, yeah, when I'm talking to these kids and he's doing whatever he's doing with his picture board, and he said, but if I mention the word church building, they just disappear.
Yeah. And I think it's because the church
it's become sissified.
Yeah.
I said they don't want nothing to do with the church building.
I'm not fully tracking on what you mean by sissified. Like,
it's not like a manly thing. It's like, well,
yeah, okay. So I was making
a bunch
sure I was
of hypocrites.
Yeah.
And
so that's what I thought you were saying. Yeah, and that is a true statement, because when you get around men and you start talking about love and compassion and be soft, soften your heart. Mm-hmm. I mean, men are like, nah. You know what you're talking about, but you're like, dude, Jesus was the warrior of warriors. Like, if you get to know Him and like what He did, he's the manliest of men.
Mm-hmm.
He just did it in a super humble, meek way. But he was like the manliest of the manly. But you're right. It's hard to get guys to listen because the church
Because it all starts at home.
Sounds weak, yeah.
And the man is supposed to be head of the household, a lovingly leader, not a tyrant like some people do.
Right. Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, yeah, and they say, that's a bunch of hypocrites and stuff. It's like, I said, well, you're right. Yeah. You're right. It really is. There are a bunch of hypocrites in the church building. I said, but when you go down there to the gas station, and you get your gas, and you go in and get your beer, cigarettes, or drink, chips, whatever, and you're standing in line. I said,
hypocrites in there.
Guess who you standing in line with? I said, who? Hypocrites. I said, and you guys think just the vile language and the cussing and the dewomanizing people, yeah, that's a man.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you want your kids to grow up doing, right? That's what you want to do in front of your kids.
Yes, that's a tough sell until people fully understand that Jesus was a manly man. So
yeah, he never cussed.
No.
Raised hell or whatever they want to call it.
He did flip over tables one time.
Well, he didn't want
righteous anger.
Yeah, righteous anger.
It's okay to have that righteous anger of Christ.
It's just interesting, some of the conversations.
Of course,
you know?
Of course. Well, we're going to wrap it up here. Russell is we're running out of energy. Mike's giving me a hard time. I stayed up late watching the Braves win a championship. Go Braves. First time since 95.
Well, if they've won, do they still have to go?
It's done. That's it. That was it. Final game. I heard on the radio on the way here, we ended 5-team seasons. I mean, like.
I don't even know what that means.
So, like, we played a team their last game of their year. Like, we just knocked them out of the playoffs or knocked them out of making the playoffs. It was like the Padres, the Brewers, the Dodgers. Last night we crushed the Astros. It was just a great. I know you don't care about sports, but winning a championship, especially in Atlanta where they're known for totally choking in every big game they play in, it's a pretty big deal, Mike. Pretty big deal. Parade's on Friday, so if you want to go, take off on Friday. I'm off. I mean, you can go sit around thousands of other people.
When Haley got off work, she called me. She said, "Stay away from Atlanta on Friday." I was like, "Deal."
You don't got to tell me twice. Yeah.
She didn't even tell me why. I said, "You got it."
I was thinking about going, but I don't know. It's a little bit.
People's like, "Man, you need to go to Atlanta on the weekend and check this out." I said, "I only go to Atlanta if I'm getting paid to."
Yeah. There's money involved. Agreed.
Or if I got to go to the hospital. Other than that, I'm out.
Well, we'll wrap it up for today. So we appreciate you guys. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. If you have topics you want to talk about, drop them in the comments. Me and Mike will respond as best as we can. You can always join us in worship here at Mount Zion in Jonesboro, 10:45 Sunday mornings. Again, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
See ya.